Hello there. My name is Divos. I've been streaming for nearly a year now, and a couple of people have asked me about a podcast. And also I thought having a podcast would be a great idea. There's so many things I'd love to talk about, and a podcast is a pretty fun way of doing so. So after all, we decided to start today. And obviously we didn't prepare super well, have not the structure that it should have and all that yada yada yada. But rather start with a less ideal setup than never start at all. That's at least my idea about it. Just do it. That kind of mentality. So welcome to the first podcast. I don't even have a good title right now. I don't know. Let's call it work in progress. I don't know. Man, I have no idea. Some kind of title. I'll come up with some nice title over the time that we have this podcast. But here's episode 1. I'm talking with Mario, who's a fellow Twitch streamer, streaming Hunt Showdown mostly. And after some games today, we decided to just start because we started talking about mental health and interesting topics that I feel are important to talk about from time to time. So I wish you the most fun, and I hope this is interesting to you too as well. I would be very happy about feedback. Feel free to use the comment section, write me a DM. I don't know, hell, write me an email. I don't even care. Do use any medium. I'm sure you're very capable of finding it. Also, I'm very happy if you visit my Twitch stream, and we can have a chat about things there too. I plan to make this podcast a more regular thing, to just have podcasting days where I just would turn on my stream, meet with a guest and talk about things that we agreed on before. So have a good day, night, whatever time it is for you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. So hello again, for those who did not hear it in the first try. My name is Mario. I'm 38 years old, I think. Yeah, that's right. I live in Wiesbaden, and I started streaming in December last year, and Hunt 2 or 3 months before that. And over Hunt, I got to know Divos, and we played some games together. And at one point, we were talking about some other stuff than Hunt, and thought it would be a good idea to make a podcast out of it. And talking about some other topics than Hunt. So here we are. And what about you, Divos?
Yeah, I'm glad that you ask. My name is Divos. I'm a 29-year-old psychologist. I'm self-employed. I do a couple things on Twitch. For a lot of time, for the most part of the week, I probably do stream on Twitch, I guess. We thought it might be a fun idea to have a podcast going. We just got into the topic of mental health while playing, and we thought, why not make this the first episode of this podcast? So to fill you in on what happened before, so we were talking about the general topic of mental health availability, especially with a focus on the country of Germany, since that's where we both live. And we kind of wanted to go deep into the topic without getting rudely interrupted by people shooting at us in Hunt Showdown. So maybe to fill you in of what happened so far. So it sounds like I'm recording some kind of TV show. So basically, we already talked about that the availability of mental health professionals in Germany is quite low, which is mostly due to the fact that you need a spot, you need to get a license from the health insurance to be able to practice, to work as a therapist in Germany. And those spots are very, very limited, which means that if you have a mental illness and you need help, that will cause a waiting time of up to 9 months. It's usually on the longer side, because obviously the psychologists that have such a spot to work have very long waiting lists, and a lot of people are trying to get in there. So that's where we currently stand. And then we delved into a topic that I wanna talk about again, and that's the fact of how do video games affect the mental health here? And playing a dark video game like Dead by Daylight or Hunt Showdown, does that actually harm your mental health? or could it be a threat? And you had the like theory or opinion that it would be not good.
Yeah, I think that there are some kind of computer games which motivate me to go on or to produce something or to do something creative. For example, like Minecraft. Really colorful, experimental computer game, and there are different spots in your brain triggered when you play Minecraft. While when you're playing Hunt, I think it's more like, okay, I'm trying to kill somebody. Do you have some creative part, like strategic parts? How do I position myself? But in total, this game is really, really more dark, and there is no real goal. Like in Minecraft, there is a goal. You can build something. You can build your own world. And I think this, how do you call it, target, this game provides more creativity, and maybe it helps or provides you to come out of not a depression, but maybe of a deeper, tiefe Phase. What do you say in English for that? When you're in a
Like
Tiefpunkt.
in a down phase.
A down phase, okay. I think those games help you more to come out of that than games like Hunt or DBD, which are really dark and it's about killing somebody. And I think that triggers, yeah, not the right spot for. It's not the right game for people who have issues, I think.
So I wouldn't necessarily fully agree with that because like I feel it really depends on the person. There's people that draw energy out of competition. And I feel like there is no competition in building that much. And if your brain is wired in a way that you get energy if you like interact with people, if you compete with people, I think it is actually more beneficial to your mental health to have like a game that is actually competitive. I'm not entirely sure about the dark theme of those games. If it would be like better to play, I don't know, Fortnite or Apex to still satisfy the competitive urge, but have like a more colorful game. I never really believed in the fact that like dark games would be bad for your mental health, but I also don't have studies on that. That's a personal opinion.
Okay, let's get away from the example because I read what Kakuru says about Minecraft.
I'll read it
and
out real quick. Well, actually, it's exactly the opposite way. In DBD, the goal is to escape and to not let people escape. In Minecraft, you actually do not have any kind of goal. Exactly, goal is a big topic too. But yeah, please.
Let's get away from games. Maybe do you know the feeling when you watch a movie and it's a really dark, maybe a horror movie, and you really feel sad afterwards, or maybe
Honestly,
scared?
no. Honestly, no.
Okay,
I watch horror
maybe
movies all the time. They kind of don't touch me.
yeah, maybe this is because your mental health is stable, is solid. I think there are a lot of people outside there when they see a movie, maybe about a big illness which is killing the whole world. They are really frightened afterwards.
I would
And
argue, and
and
this
one
is
second.
maybe a bit of a hot take, but I would argue that people that grew up with less media, less horror movies, less of all that, will take those movies way more serious and like get touched by it more because they aren't as trained to separate like reality from visuals or like from media.
Uh, okay, but with this argumentation, you can say it's why do we have some kind of FSK 18 in Germany? Then it would be allowed also for kids to watch horror movies, because if it has no effect on human mind, why do we have it? Why don't children are allowed to watch a horror movie?
I will never understand the age ratings.
Okay.
But apart from that, like that's not an advice part. The age rating. I don't know. Like I don't know about you, but when I was like 11 or 12 when I saw my first horror movie, and I played Counter-Strike when I was, I don't know, even younger probably. So I don't think anyone that's actually interested in the topic gets like pushed away by age ratings. So I don't think those work. Those are just like merely cosmetic to keep parents a bit like I don't know,
It's an
calm.
it's an orientation because you don't know what happens in a movie, and I think it's an orientation for parents. Which movie could be okay for my kid to watch and which not? Okay, then there are parents who watch every movie before they show them to their kids, but normally this doesn't happen. So the first step for the adults is to look on the backside. Oh, we don't have DVDs anymore today, but you know what I mean. In the
Yeah.
past, to look on the backside and look on the adult rating.
Okay.
And yeah, I, I think that it's an orientation.
It is an orientation. Also, DB chiming in here, same horror movies don't touch me and my mental health isn't stable at all. It's much more peaceful for me to see those movies killing everybody and stuff, but the speed limit on the Autobahn is only orientation as well. So
That's
I really
totally
think it's a
different
personal
topic.
thing. I really think it's a personal thing. I know people that get super scared when watching a horror movie, and I know people that literally like they could see the biggest slaughter and they don't give a shit about it. Not because they're like, I don't know, edgy or evil or whatever, but it's just like they have a very clear I don't know, barrier between reality and media.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I could see how like this kind of
It's
content like Hunt Showdown for the wrong person or for a person that is less good at like separating virtual and real life could be harming. I can see that.
yeah, I think I also talked with my psychologists I had in the past and I have now, and that I think it was around about 2, 3, or 4 people in my whole life right now, and everybody told me stay away from dark movies or dark games because I'm also I, I know it's a movie, but I'm a person who gets fully into it. I get fully into a movie with all my emotions, and I also get fully into a game with all my emotions. That does not mean that I'm not stable in my normal life. I am because I'm a normal working person. I have a normal job, and I'm also able to plan my stream and so on. But I'm some kind of entertainment enjoyer, and for me, this is only possible when I get fully into it. And sometimes also when I play Hunt for like 3, 4, or 5 hours, afterwards, I need some time to get back because all these grunt killings, person killings, when I go to sleep afterwards, sometimes I have nightmares.
All right.
Um, at the next morning, everything is fine. This does not happen if I play some kind of Zoo Tycoon.
But
I don't have
is it
nightmares
because
about Zoo
like
Tycoon.
is it because you don't really need to get invested in Zoo Tycoon? I saw what you read. Let's just finish this real quick, or like this topic real quick before we go on that.
I'm not sure. I think it's about the pictures you see. I mean, when you see Hunt and hitting a grunt and kicking off his head and some of that stuff, I think those pictures remain in your brain more than cute little kitties in a zoo or tigers or whatever. It's harmless. The zoo tycoon is harmless. The brain does not have to handle that much. It's not that hard for the brain to handle those pictures because yeah, it's friendly, in my opinion.
I can see the opinion absolutely, and I can also see that like I know that is a public theory or a public opinion that dark pictures also affect you quite a bit. Um, I don't know if I personally agree with that out of personal experience and personal like and talking to people affected by either mental illness or not, and those quite enjoying dark pictures. If we want to sum it up, let's go through the comments real quick. Well, movies are indeed affecting the mental state. Try going away from horror movies to romantic ones. Hollywood defines how being romantic has to be. Hollywood tells what is romantic and what isn't. When you're really young, you will often experience expectations which come from movies. Zizek said great stuff about it, and he's absolutely right. Not just mental state, but also the way of thinking. That's actually a very very good point there.
Yeah.
Um, So movies do absolutely impact our perception of how society has to have. And that's why I think actually horror movies are kind of out of that loop, because no one pictures a horror movie will or should be the way society is.
Depends on what you mean with horror movies. There are horror movies with zombies and so on. Society will never be like that. And then there are horror movies about horrible human beings. They who did really really horrible stuff like killing a lot of people and so on creepy ways, and which are really really near to this could happen to you. And it's also a horror movie, like Saw or something like that.
Well,
Really
those
bloody
are
horror.
that is actually true. There is horror movies that are very close to reality,
And
and
that's
that's where
how
they
they work.
become scary.
Yeah, that's how they work. It's like mind fuck. You know, it's you don't know what is reality and what is fiction right now.
I would still say
Closer.
that those movies never, at least for me personally, I don't think these movies never really evoked either nightmares or even thinking about the idea that this could be real.
Yeah, but it's fine. I mean, you're not alone with this, but I think there are a lot of people which are really who are really easy to manipulate or be manipulated over this, watching a movie like this. Um, so the question is it our I'm searching for the word, ähm, Auftrag oder unsere Pflicht,
Our job, our
or
reliability.
to secure the weaker persons by, for example, putting um, age recommendations on movies to save kids from watching the wrong movies.
Actually, yes, kinda, and I think that's like the one reason why those kind of like age limits do make sense, because the moment you're like not underage anymore is the moment where you have to live with your own decisions. And if you know that you react very harsh to like dark pictures, you can probably just avoid them.
Yeah. And the fact Kakuru says you can even push it on into. I mean, we have a big issue in the youth right now about the whole porn industry. He was talking about love movies. The whole porn industry delivers a really really wrong picture about how sex works. And it's a really, because porn is everywhere right now. In my When I was younger, it was really difficult for us to get in touch with stuff like that. Today, everybody has it on his phone,
True.
and I'm really excited about what will this make with our society.
Well, excited is probably a hard word here.
Yeah. Excited. I mean, I don't know it. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, it's really hard. Sometimes you have 12 or 13-year-old boys on the street where you pass by and they're watching hardcore porn, and
true.
they're just kids, and it's a totally sexualization of the whole community. You have children around about 12 or 13 years old on Instagram posing like adult women in short dresses.
True. But like I think youth is always like the youngsters, and that's what Rafi just said too, is I think we kind of have to exclude kids for a moment from this, because like if we include kids, everything gets a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
And I would also say it's not our reliability to prohibit things where what is the parents' job to prohibit. As a society, I don't think it's the society's job to do the parenting. Okay, let me read the comments real quick. When you're a grown-up, not having any mental illness, you should be able to differentiate between movies and reality. For further argumentation, we need to differ. Are we talking about grown-up people without having mental illnesses? I would go... I don't think there is many people that don't have mental illnesses, honestly. I think most people have some kind of mental illness. Be it anxiety, be it depression, be it panic, being a traumatic experiences. I think, honestly... 9 out of 10 adults have some kind of mental illness.
I would agree with that.
So let's exclude the kids. I think it's a good idea to differ here to exclude kids, okay. But let's stay with adults because. So I would argue that a person probably knows if they react bad to dark pictures or not.
Yeah, true. If they first have to do they have to feel it once, but afterwards they know it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I also think that changed over the last couple years quite a bit, because if you like watch an old horror movie, like for example Nosferatu or Dracula or like those old movies.
Yeah.
People thought back then that this is scary because they have not seen more scary things. Mm-hmm. If you watch the news today, you see more scary things than an old Dracula movie.
Yeah, but at this time, the reality was also more scary than the movies. The reality is always more scary than the movies.
But the depiction was different, I would say.
The media was different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because today everything is a big bubble. If you get a news from the other side of the world, 10 minutes later I can read it.
Yep. And see pictures.
Unfiltered or filtered through many hands, and like silent post office. I don't know if it's the right translation. The news is not the same anymore.
Yeah, true. Like the message changes the more people write on it. That's absolutely true.
Nosferatu was around about 1922. Yeah. I mean, World War was more horrible than Nosferatu.
Definitely.
So the reality was harder than the movie itself, but you did not have the media, which multiplies everything as it happens today.
I mean, to be fair, obviously World War was worse than Nosferatu, but how, like, not everyone had a hands-on experience with World War.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people, like, they knew there is a war. They also maybe, like, lost people in it, but I don't think they actually saw the situation on the battlefield. Which would be the most gruesome of all.
I try to read your chat while you are talking. That's not a good
I'll go back on chat in a minute. But yeah, like DB says, if you react bad to it, don't do it. If you don't like something, you don't do it as well. I mean, that's kind of the obvious way to do that. But also people love to challenge themselves. That's good advice, yeah. When I watched American Horror Story, I loved it, but scary things in horror gives me awful nightmares. They're really realistic, so I can't watch them. I mean, I guess part of the interest in horror topics comes out of the fact that they evoke some kind of emotion in you, that they evoke some kind of adrenaline.
That's the reason why they're made.
Exactly.
They want to push you maybe on your limits.
They're actually not made for me, funnily enough. Because like I don't feel shit when I watch a horror movie. I just try to find interesting stories in there.
For me, there's the big difference in horror movies. I mean, it's not the blood. It's not the way people die in horror movies. It's about the psychological horror. This works for me. If there are horror movies where you have some kind of combination of creepy pictures and good music, it's not about what I see. It's all about what happens in my head while I watch the movie.
Well, maybe that's the reason they don't work for me, because I actually have aphantasia, which means I don't have pictures in my head.
Okay.
Maybe that's the reason. I literally don't have I cannot imagine images.
I'm a pictioneering person. I don't know if it's the right word. So, yeah, my brain is working all the time. Everything, when something happens in my head, the story goes on, even if it stops in reality.
Maybe that's a point that I think that would be an interesting research. Do you have that as well, Colin? There's a YouTube channel where two guys, cinematographer and psychologist, review movies, like how fucked up a Twilight movie is. That sounds interesting, actually. I can dream, yes.
I can dream too, but I nearly never remember what I've dreamed. That's the fun part. My dreams are very intense, and I know how I feel afterwards, but it would be nearly impossible for me to tell you what I dreamed last night. Dreaming is also a very interesting topic. How do dreams work?
Well, it's mostly I got fantasy as well. It's always funny when people want you to picture things and stuff. So maybe that's the common ground why horror movies don't affect us. Maybe our fantasy is more common than usual, and like horror movies cannot work in a frightening way if you don't have pictures in your head.
Yeah. If you're not open to it, then you're not open to it.
It's not just about being open. Even if I was open to it, I wouldn't have pictures. Like and then all I got is like a vague idea of this could also be reality in real life, but as it's not a picture, it's less strong.
Do you cry in movies? In sad
Sometimes,
movies?
but very rarely. I think there's only one series that ever made me cry, and it's The Good Doctor. For some reason, this like series hits the feel so fucking hard, and also the last episode of Supernatural. Fucking hell, man, that wasn't necessary. Dreaming is a very mad topic. Since 6 out of 7 times I got nightmares. Dreaming, I do remember dreams when they were like interesting, weird, or something. But I don't know. Dreaming, I think early psychology over-evaluated dreaming as some kind of oracle. It's mostly just our brain processing of what happened over the day, or like things that are very, I don't know, very, very present in our brain.
On my side, it's really easy for me to cry on movies. There's not much needed to make me cry on a movie. I mean, the first time I cried on a movie was in Aristocats from Disney when I was really young. And today, the I think the movie, I don't know why, but do you know the movie Hachiko?
No.
Okay, it's about this Chinese Asian dog which stood at the train station and was waiting over years for his for his dog holder to come back. The story, it's a real story.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on a real story, and there's also a monument at the train station for the dog.
Mm-hmm.
In the town. The story is that he found this dog, and it's a Chinese dog. I don't know the right name of the
Great.
race. But it was a professor, and he went to the university and had a heart attack at the university, and they had their procedure that the dog runs to the train station with the professor and waits there for him to come back after the work, and then went with him to his home. And at one day, the professor did not come back, and the dog sits there over years. So the whole train station every person at the train station was working there, adopt the dog on one hand. I don't know the right. It's difficult for me to explain in English, but you know what I mean.
So they all went there and fed the dog.
Yeah,
and took care of him.
and take care of him,
Yeah.
and then told the story everywhere in the world, and it's so heartwarming.
That's definitely a heartbreaking story.
And that's one of the parts where I think humans like us do not deserve dogs because they are so, I mean, such a great animal. But it's another theme. But when I see this movie, and I saw it, I think for around 3 or 4 times right now, and I know the story and I know the pictures, and every time, even if the movie starts and I hear the music, I'm so hard triggered, I start crying.
I get that. Do you think that's a modern problem? Because now you're able to see movies and play violent games. Do you think that people in ancient Rome were more violent when they were in the Colosseum? Or do you think people were more violent when seeing a theater with a lot of violence? I don't 100% understand that question.
You think?
So there has actually been psychological tests if watching like violent movies would have an impact on like dulling the empathy or something like in the brain. They did tests on that and they found out that there is no long-term effect on your brain in terms of having like duller emotions when you're used to like violent video games or violent movies. There is no provable effect of that.
Why does your pulse go up
What do you
when there
mean?
is no effect on your body or on your mind? When you
Well,
like
they
horror
just
movies?
did an EEG session to look at that, and they basically if they showed people that are used to violent movies, violent video games, all that, if they showed them like actual gruesome pictures, they had the same reaction as people that are not used to it.
Okay.
That's basically what they found out. So it doesn't make you more dull.
Okay.
So okay,
Okay.
let me go through chat before we head on. Dreams are seen as like bad omens or good ones. You can also train your brain to do clear dreaming and stuff, but that's really hard. Can help, but doesn't have to. Yeah, clear dreaming is a whole new topic to jump into.
You can also manage to control your dreams
Yeah,
as well.
that's exactly that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's exactly that. A friend of mine has perfected that, but that's a new topic that I don't want to immediately jump into. I've teared up because of movies, but I never cried because of one. But most of my generation of males is emotionally fucked up, anyways. I tend to agree on that, Jing. It is like a lot of our generation has like learned that crying is a no-go for men. So
Which
they
generation are we talking about?
currently the 90s generation. I would say. I don't know. I assume your generation had like the same thing, but like not. In the end, it never affects everyone.
I think for me the main difference is that I was only grown up by my mother.
Okay.
Maybe this is also an issue.
So the funny thing is the person I learned from that I shouldn't cry as a man was my grandma.
Mhm.
My grandma was always like, "Stop crying. You're a man. Bite your teeth together." So that's where I learned not to cry from, or like not to show too many like sad emotions or whatever. And I've been like since then working on like being more open with my emotions, but it's quite some work, honestly. Affected by the way you think, you're affected in the way you think by what you consume. Just think of the Verte Effect. Oof, that's a very old example, though. That's a very old example. And obviously, the Verte Effect, I don't know, are you familiar with that?
No.
Before I continue talking? So, yeah, I don't want you to leave you out of the conversation. So, that was, I think it was Goethe that wrote the fucking hell English title. Give me a second.
Die Leiden des jungen Werther.
Exactly. I
Okay.
still want to like, for
Translate.
people listening, I need the English topic of the English name of it. The Sorrows of Young Werther. That was like 1774. And obviously the world was way different in 1774 to where it is now. So it was completely like groundbreaking. I didn't cry for like 12 years, tried to grow a thick skin, sadly succeeded. I get that. Like if you, and I think that's one of these more male psychology topics. If you are in a spot that you like can't allow yourself to cry because you would either show weakness, or it's just like it's inappropriate to show your emotions. It is quite common that men like unlearn their own emotions.
I directly have a picture in my head. No? I'm
Okay.
a pictionary person. Do you know the? I mean, I think everybody knows the movie Fight Club.
Yes.
The scene where he's not able to cry or to sleep anymore.
Mhm.
Edward Norton, and he's joining those self-helping groups
Mhm.
to learn to open again, and then at some point starts crying, and afterwards he felt so much better.
Mhm.
He was just crying. He was not even affected by the illnesses they were talking about. He just joined in to cry.
Mhm.
I think it's really, really important that everybody, I don't know why, it's some kind of Stau, was Stau in English? To release the pressure
Yeah, release it.
sometimes, and just cry. Sometimes I cry with no reason, but I feel better afterwards.
I mean, it is like I think that that's a pretty like large psychological consensus that bottling up your emotions will always like fuck you up in the long run.
Yeah.
I don't think we need like that's consensus, and I also think that it's like more common with males that they bottle up their emotions. Until 2 years ago, I was a crybaby. Like I cried at everything, but now I don't cry anymore. I don't know what happened. Uh, I don't know either. But like sometimes it's like things that happen in your life that make you learn that you're not allowed to cry, or that you're not that you can't like show your emotions because it's like harming you in any other way. Even though that's a very short term perception. I
There are some more.
Okay, okay, fair. I didn't explain what happened after that. I found out the book title of The Sorrows of the Young Werther. Like 74, there was a huge suicide wave rolling through the country after reading that book. So a lot of people decided to end their life after reading that book, which had a pretty insane effect, like effect big enough to have a name. And they kind of so it's not just the book, but they made the effect like name for like everything that is you see some media, and then there's an increased rate of suicide after seeing that media. But it's it's
That's a
not a
phenomenon
confirmed
where
effect after all.
it, but what is the effect? Is it that you read something which does something with you and then you kill yourself, or
So
what is the effect about?
the fact is about that you see media, read,
Hmm.
watch something, and then there is an increase of the suicide rate.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I think crying is healthy to release some pressure. It can absolutely work to get rid of or to like at least let the pressure of sadness out. But like the same thing goes, and this is like I think I'm opening a new topic here slightly, but the same goes for anger. And that's another thing, because in today's society it is kind of okay to cry, but it is kind of not okay to get angry. Like it's less socially acceptable to get angry than to cry, I would say. But if you bottle up your anger, that also like will fuck you up in the long run. So you also need a way to release that.
And then you play, and then you play, and then you play hunt.
I mean, it's not like I'm holding back my anger.
But you're not a toxic person.
I'm not, no.
I'm just thinking about how do I get my anger out, or when the last time was that I get my anger out. I don't
So
know.
if you
I do
don't have
I do
anything that you
sports.
get angry about,
I,
that's kind of okay too, obviously.
yeah, but I think there are different ways to just purely get your anger directly out by screaming or smashing something. I think there's some kind of other opportunities to do that,
Obviously,
like doing sports, for example.
you can. But I wouldn't see the connection between anger and toxicity necessarily.
No,
That's
no, no, no,
that's
no, no, no. There is no, none, no. That's right.
so. I mean, there's a various ways of dealing with anger. Like for me in my old job, what I did from time to time is find a room that was kind of sound isolated away from everyone. I went in there, screamed for roughly a minute, and then went back and tried to look friendly.
One of my psychologists in the past told me also that from time to time, just scream. Go to the woods where you're alone and
Yeah.
just scream the hell out of yourself. Even if you have no reason in this moment, just scream.
Yep.
Because your whole body will thank you afterwards.
It is definitely a thing. Like bottling up anger is I would say as dangerous as bottling up sadness or other emotions. For me, most of the time, anger is settled by talking about it or focusing on something else. So I'm not sure if you're like, I don't want to diagnose anyone here. That's not what this is about. But I mean, if you're talking about the issue and you can like actually work through the anger, I think that's a good thing. Like work on it in a rational way. But also, usually emotions don't get released by just rationally thinking about them. Because you generally when you have emotions, they need some way of release before you can rationally work through them. At least that's the theory. I got a lot of time on my hands not being able to, yeah. Also, suicide rates did go up since COVID. Like all sorts of mental illnesses did go up since COVID massively.
Yeah, that's true. That's one of the reasons why you don't get a spot on any psychologist list.
It wasn't better before. It might have gone worse, but it still was. It was at least 6 months before. I guess now it's 9 months.
The first time I went to my doctor for issues about Corona and issues about home office for over 2.5 years, he also told me that it's really rough times, and a lot of psychologists themselves are getting ill because of they don't know to handle it anymore. They're also just working their asses off, and there are still people waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a devil's circle.
Yep. And mini excursion on that topic of low mental health availability. In Germany, the old Ministry of Health wanted to make that easier for everyone. It changed the whole system and made it worse. So we can have a little clap for that, man. Side topic, you know what's even more worse than releasing your anger? Smile 9 a.m. in the public transport. I'm very bad at smiling when I don't feel like smiling. So usually when I smile, it's sincere, or you will be able to tell it in seconds because it will look roughly like that. And I don't think anyone buys that.
Maybe you can read what DB said. It's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
I had a lot of discussions with friends.
I have to say, yeah, exactly. I have to say for myself, since COVID, I feel much better and safe. COVID gives me peace, even though I think that's kind of wrong.
think that's a really, really interesting point, because I also had a lot of discussions with friends of mine, and some of my friends really went really good through those times. They were damn happy to work from home, being
Mm,
alone the whole day and doing their shit. Um, I think it depends hardly on what kind of character you are. If you're some kind of outgoing person, maybe you need a stage, entertaining person, you need your audience.
mm,
um, it it was a rough time. So I'm that kind of person. I mean, even if when I'm in the office, I'm searching for my stage to act and to entertain people and to spread some love and yeah, talking to people.
mm.
And this was taken from me from one to the other day.
Yeah.
And there were no more spontaneous meetings with a coffee in your hand. Everything was planned. You need Skype invitation and so on. It was really, really hard. And on the other side, my girlfriend, for example, she was freaking out in a positive way. It was perfect for her. She's also a very loud and entertaining person, but not the kind of that I am. So she was able to handle it and got through it without any problems. And she just made her things 2.5 years, and yeah, now she's building up her own business, and that's where COVID takes her, to gain that strength and during that time, and the self-confidence to now doing her own business.
Yeah.
So it's not bad to, it's not wrong. I don't know his right name, DB, to feel like that. I mean, you're a different kind of human, as I am. So for you, the situation is also for you totally different than it's for me.
It for me, like from my personal experience, COVID was also more of a net positive. Like things changed for the better for me.
Okay.
I never like I'm not exactly like I wouldn't say I'm introverted, but I draw energy out of being alone. Like I can easily talk to people. I don't have any issues talking with people and that kind of stuff. But I gain energy when I'm alone, not when I'm in a group. So I didn't have any like downsides of COVID much, and also I was very used of having like an online community to talk to them. Like I started streaming after COVID started, but even before I had like 2 or 3 groups of people that I played with on a constant level, and I was super used to having like online friends and just chill with them all the time. Strange thing, I said that I didn't cry for 12 years, but I realized that when I'm driving alone, if I would force myself to smile, I want to cry. That's indeed.
Let it out.
Let it out.
Don't question it.
I mean, still, like, no health advice here. This is not a health advice show.
No.
I'm legally not able to do that. But friendly advice: try to let it out. Maybe drive like to the side and park for a second, because it can be fucking rough. I hate going outside. COVID prevented that for a lot of time, so I could dodge anxiety and panic attacks and other many things that were worse. I get that. In my 18 to 22s, I got so mad and screamed while gaming. Then I started kung fu and meditation. Today, I would say I'm really calm in most situations. Absolutely, like sports can be, and also meditation can be great vents for that. And I can only recommend meditation to everyone. You don't need to believe in it to make it work.
And meditation is I also had some challenges doing it, but and I need to go back to it. But for a long time, I had really sometimes I was meditating 2 or 3 times a day, in the morning, after after brunch, and in the evening,
Mm.
to be able to handle all the stuff that happens at work and private stuff and my mental stuff I had at that time. And it was so much to handle for my brain. And meditation really, really made it possible to yeah, go through it.
Mm. For me, meditation also did a lot of positive things.
Yeah.
Like it feels super weird to get started with it, but generally, I think meditation, like the good thing about it is that you don't need to believe in it, so it does something with you.
Even
COVID
if you
made,
just,
yeah,
sorry, yeah. Even
yep.
if you just close your eyes and listen for 10 or 15 minutes to rain and try to think about nothing. That's the start. And that's meditation. Try to think about nothing.
It is
I-
kind of like doing behavior cognitive behavioral therapy with yourself, because you're trying to focus on your breath, and you let thoughts come, don't judge them, and let them pass again.
Yeah.
COVID made people reflect their lives. Maybe it's time to change society now. We were working like in times of industrialization, working 9 to 5. We need to change. People start to realize that life isn't just working until the coffin closes, and that's what scares them. Why are we here to work, to consume? Or are we more than consuming work machines? I mean, I guess that a lot of people realized that during COVID, but this was always my nightmare. Like, only being there to be like a small cog in the wheels of society, doing my job, and at some point I die. And if I'm lucky, I get children too, so they can do the same shit.
This is my COVID story, what he's writing down there. I was so focused on business before COVID. I was like, okay, I need to get higher, I need to earn more money, and so on. And I was doing everything for that. And I was leading a team of 5 to 10 people on the user experience part. And during COVID, I decided I don't want to play this role anymore.
Mm.
I want to go back into projects and just do my work.
Mm.
And I don't want to be responsible for 5 or 10 people. So I decided to nearly throw away what I was fighting for like the last 3 to 5 years in that company. And I did it. So I'm not the leader of this team anymore. It was really a rough decision for me, but I decided I want to get more time. And before COVID, I also was on 110%, so I had 10% more working time than anybody else, just to have more time to handle my stuff. And I also decided to lower that down. And yeah, that's COVID. What it did to me? It's like a Brennglas. You know what I mean? It's an English word for that.
Go on, maybe I can find a word.
Burning glass, yeah. It's like a burning glass. Everything. I had those thoughts before, but during COVID, it was like sometimes I have weird German words. I don't know the English ones because that are not everyday.
It was an introspection, I guess.
Accelerator.
Okay.
It was an accelerator for those thoughts because I had time to think about it.
Yeah.
And getting out of this, heavy, fast times just thinking about me and myself. And I think a lot of people share this.
Absolutely. Like for me it was similar. Like I had vacations roughly before COVID started, and I was like talking to my girlfriend a lot, and we both were kind of unhappy with our jobs, and we were like, maybe we should quit. And then COVID started, and we had half a day at home because we like got that short term working thing, and we realized, fucking hell, what are we doing with our life? And then we both quit.
Okay. Yeah, my girlfriend just quit it a few weeks ago and is now working on her own business. And I started streaming. I mean, COVID brought me to streaming. I never thought about streaming before. It was just the idea of I want to build something up which is totally my own, not a work for anybody else in exchange for money. So I started to build up the stream. It's not about streaming. It's not about the game. The game was just the start for me. But yeah, and now we are here talking about that in some kind of podcast arrangement. And yeah, I love those new things that happen to me through Twitch, through Hunt, through the community.
Yes.
And I never thought that it will end up this way.
I think no one really expected what would happen.
I love it. Now I live just in the moment. I don't care about tomorrow.
Yeah, that is actually perfect, because the moment you live not in the moment, you're like ridden by fear. But also, it's very hard, especially for us Germans, because we tend to plan every fucking thing that we can find.
It's in our DNA.
Exactly. So CBT, let me jump onto that topic real quick. Cognitive behavioral therapy is, so there's different branches of therapy that are currently practiced, at least in German, or like I don't think that's the right word. Let me Google that real quick. It's actually the correct word. There's a couple branches. Like the first one is cognitive behavioral therapy, which focuses a lot on making the symptoms better. That's mainly the goal of it. But the CBT doesn't really work on the roots. Mostly because those people believe you cannot work on the roots. Then there's systematic therapy, which has a very different approach. It uses some of the techniques of CBT, but it kind of does care about the roots. And the whole idea of CBT, of systemic therapy, means everyone is part of a system. In most parts, they're part of several systems, and if one part of it changes, everything changes. So they try to find out basically the what impacts the system and how would you change the system and what kind of logic is in your brain. And then there's the third branch that is like, I don't really know the English words for that. Let me look that up real quick. Depth psychology, which is practiced, and that is only about like finding out the roots for things. But it's not really proven that it works. And that's kind of funny since it's the oldest branch of it. And if CBT doesn't work for you, that might either mean it's the wrong therapist, which is possible, or it means that you might have to try a different approach to, not death, depth. How do you?
Depth psychology.
Depth psychology. I tried. Okay.
Depth.
Depth.
Important that the tongue is hitting your teeth. Depth.
Exactly. Or try a different style of psychology. CBT is of all psychology ways the one that is proven to work the most. Doesn't mean that it always does, though.
CBT, some kind of NLP?
No.
Okay.
CBT just means cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
And NLP is something completely different.
Okay.
It's just it's the most common psychology branch currently in Germany, I would say.
Okay.
With like, from my perspective, the issue that they're not even trying to work on the roots. I saw one psychologist for a year, and after all that time, they said to me, "I'm not qualified to help you." No, I'm not. Let's skip NLP. I'm personally not a fan of it, and we don't open that box. So Felix, but like another thing is, not every psychologist can help you. Sometimes you just need a different one, and sometimes another psychologist would be perfectly able to help you because they're like able to do it in that exact path, or they got some experience that the other doesn't. Like it's not like doctors. It's not like to Google another word, like surgeons. Like if a surgeon is able to fix, I don't know, your heart, the next heart surgeon will also be able to fix your heart. But that's not how it works with psychology, and that makes it even harder to find the correct person.
But I think you also have the issues with doctors. I mean, sometimes the doctor does not even see what you have, and
Okay,
you
true.
go to the next one, and immediately knows what's wrong with you.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes I've had illness. I went to 3 or 4 doctors, and nobody could help me. And the doctor number 5 then know it. Yeah, but I also had a lot of psychologists, and sometimes it's a lot about personal. Yeah, here is I forgot the word. Damn it.
Which one?
Yeah, I also forgot the German word I was trying
Relationships?
to say.
Or like, or what?
Yeah, maybe like that. It's nearly the same. Yeah, it's about personal relationships. You need to be on one side, one wave, oder auf einer Wellenlänge sein.
Yeah. You need to connect with them.
Yeah, maybe. And I also had some really toxic psychologists. It wasn't mean to be that way, but it was because we were so different that it did not work out.
Understandable.
And it's totally normal. Then you have to change it.
Mhm.
It's not easy because we had it before. If you have waiting times for around about 3 till 6 months, and then get the wrong person, it's really hard to say, okay, this person is wrong, and to do not take the help.
Yep. It is like it's a weird topic since you have that kind of personal connection to your psychologist to say, okay, I don't think this will be useful or this will harbor any fruits, this work. So maybe we should just change.
And it's really difficult also to tell it your health insurance because they will
Yeah.
not understand it.
True.
Why-
They
why you-
think it's
why-
just
why you
like
break up?
surgeons.
Yeah. Why you break up the therapy? I mean,
Yep.
you only had 3 sessions, and then you tell them, it doesn't fit, and then they say, okay, what do you mean? He's a doctor.
Exactly. They don't understand. I remember my first therapy. Psychologist asked me what I expect. I said some advice. He said psychologists don't give advice. It's a clear line. But that's actually true. So first, actually, it is a really good question to ask you what you expect, because as a psychologist, it's like as said before, it's different than a doctor. If you go to a doctor with a broken arm, what the hell can you expect? Obviously, that he somehow fixes your broken arm. That's very, very simple. But it is a very smart question of a psychologist to ask what you expect. And I would argue a good psychologist shouldn't like try to shape you in their idea, but they would find out what you need and help you find your own way of fixing it. But as I said, that opinion is always biased since I am one. Another one I saw started to quote the Bible and told me that all unmarried couples are in a violent relationship, and since I'm gay, he said that it's always violent. Okay, yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Well, the health minister once said, you just need to drink a beer on your couch. Yeah. Good thing he's our health minister, right? Good thing we always use the most qualified people for the jobs. People that studied whatever, have no idea what they're talking about, and good thing they have like some saying in terms of health.
With some of our ministers, it's like with football players. If they did not get any minister, I don't know what job else they could do. It's like,
I don't know either. Like, I've heard very gruesome things from ministers or from high up politicians talking about the topic they should know about, but they don't know jack shit.
One good story I have to tell. Do you know Human Protect?
No.
This was one company that helped me out during my hard times. It's some kind of service that your company can buy and integrate in their company as a service for their employees. So if you have heavy times like I had it, there is some kind of emergency phone. You can call it, and I call it on a Monday, and I describe what problem I have, and there was a really, really friendly lady on the other side and wrote everything down and said, okay, we get back to you. And on Tuesday, I already had a psychologist from somewhere in Germany. And the first 5 sessions are paid by my company.
That's really cool. What was the name of that?
Human Protect. It's also an organization, and it's in Germany it's Ihr Partner für psychische Gesundheit. And it's a how do you say, Konglomerat, Zusammenschluss.
Some kind of, yeah.
We all learn great English.
A conglomerate, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of psychologists, and they offer that companies are able to integrate that and to offer their employees that service. And I think it's really great because I had a problem on Monday. Was calling them, and on Tuesday I already had a person which said, okay, we have now 5 hours, what's your problem? And she was really kind, and it was a really cool solution for me. In the first step, it's not the solution for the whole problem, but it was a step in the right direction.
Yes.
And from that on, I had enough time to care about myself, to get a coach, to get my psychologist from my own, over my health insurance and so on.
That's very interesting. I'm a look at them.
Yeah,
Because
it's really cool.
it looks really cool.
It's a really cool concept.
And
I
also,
think a lot of,
yeah. They're also looking for honorarium. That doesn't make any sense. What's the English word for that? There is no fucking English word.
directly paid.
Yeah, Honorarkräfte.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good solution. I mean, you can do it from home.
Exactly, and I kind of like need some extras, so I'm a look at that definitely. Thanks.
You're welcome. Next time I call them, I call with you. I have a call with you, maybe.
That's this young guy. He kind of lives in your area. Yo, thank you so much for the resub. I appreciate it.
This would be really funny.
It would be
I know
funny.
your voice.
Yeah, true.
But your voice sounds different in German, so
It
maybe
does.
I need maybe I need 1 or 2 minutes to identify you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it is overall a very, very difficult topic. Like the whole mental health topic is very, very difficult because the overall education on it is very low. And there's like one guy I want to mention real quick because I think he's doing a great job in terms of mental health and making it more publicly available or giving a wider understanding to the internet, and that's Dr. K or the Healthy Gamer Project. I don't know. Have you heard about that?
No, I'll just Google it.
I'm a
Healthy.
Exactly. So this guy, I just put a YouTube link because I think that's where you find most things. He's also streaming his sessions and stuff. This guy is having a lot of talks with people in a more mental health way than we do now, like in a more, I don't know, client psychologist way than just like talking podcast wise. And he has like some great resources that might be useful for everyone. I quite enjoyed watching his stuff. And thank you so much for the follow, K-Prawn. Appreciate. I came. Welcome. So that's a very good project. I can only recommend if you are interested in like personal mental health. And I do agree with, I would say 99% of his stances, which is also kind of rare in psychology. That you actually find a different psychologist that you agree with. Usually everyone has a bit of their own opinion and they're like, nah, I don't think so. No. Yeah. That's what it is.
Then I have also some recommendations. 2 books. I think the most favorite books for me to getting to know better or more about my brain and how it works is Kahneman. I think everybody knows him, or nearly everybody. Schnelles Denken, Langsames Denken, or in English it's thinking, fast thinking.
Slow and fast thinking.
Slow and fast thinking. That's one title, and
I'm gonna post that in chat too.
The other one I have to look up is give me 1 second. I don't know the author, but I only know the title. Die Entscheidung liegt bei dir. Maybe you know that too. It's from Sprenger.
No.
Reinhard K. Sprenger. It's a man, he's some kind of management consultant. And he, it's a long story. I try to tell it in short. He had a lot of presentations. Sometimes it's really obvious. Presentations for management boards, how they can handle their daily businesses and how to get clear decisions for their work. And he invented a lot of techniques, and most of those managers are trying to adapt those techniques for their private lives. And it worked out really well. So they get back to him and say, okay, why don't you write a book for normal people, not only for managers, how they can handle their lives and making better decisions in lives.
Yes.
And it's a big part for me in my life where my sometimes Unzufriedenheit,
Unhappy? Or like
unhappiness, it's not unhappy.
unsatisfied?
Unsatisfied is better, yeah. Unsatisfiedness, if there's a word, comes from is that I'm sometimes not able to make a clear decision, to accept my decision, to say, okay, I made a decision, and now I have to live with the result. Because, and that's also the part about living in the moment. So this book is really great about that. You learn a lot. It's a little bit pushy. I don't know it's the right word. And he's really hard in choosing his words. But for me, it was eye-opening.
Okay.
I read it, I think, 2 or 3 times now.
I actually don't think it got translated.
I'm not sure if it's translated in English, but for those who are German speaking and want to read a German book, it's really good, and I liked it very much.
It was kind of funny since the guy's living in the USA, but apparently he didn't decide to translate the book. So yeah, if you're German, that's definitely sounds like an interesting recommendation. Yeah. Slothing is one of my best decisions I made the last year for work and my personal life. After all, everything feels even faster. Anyone read Feeling Good, the new mood therapy by D. Burns? I didn't, no. Also recommend a good book here, Deep Work by Cal Newport. Interesting. Don't think I've read that either.
Doorbell.
Oh, it's probably like reading the first couple sentences. It is probably on the fact that you in your everyday life you get distracted constantly by literally everything. Like if you try to focus on learning while having like WhatsApp open and someone's texting you, you would like you lose so much brain power. It is very rough. So even like learning while being high on weed would be more efficient than try like learning while having like messengers on. So I guess it will go into that topic that like no one can work actually focused because there's so many interruptions by everything.
I was just away for 5 seconds, and the next sentence I hear is learning high on weed.
It's an example. You can work more focused and you can like learn better while being high on weed than when you have like messengers open and get interrupted every 3 seconds. Which doesn't mean you should learn high on weed. It just means it would even that would be better than the constant interruption that we have in our everyday life, which makes it near impossible for us to work on something if we don't like take precaution and turn everything off that we can find.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. So reduce distraction.
Exactly. As little distraction as possible.
Okay.
All right. I think that might conclude our talk for now. Please tell the audience how they can keep up with you and your work.
You mean with my stream?
Exactly. I mean, if you have a Twitter, feel free to talk about that as well. That's fine.
I used Twitter a long time ago, but I tried to had a little distance before I start streaming again. I distanced myself from social media to get some kind of social toxins freeness. I don't know the right words.
Yeah.
So I have an Instagram, I have Twitch, but I think the best way to get in contact with me is over Twitch right now. There are some other links on my Twitch profile which I can share with the community. The others are totally private, so if you get to know me private, you get the links to those.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but I would appreciate to make this maybe one more time or 2 or 3 more times, but maybe with a topic we agreed in the forefeld.
Absolutely. I would like talking about the topic in advance would be not a bad idea for the next one, but at some point you just want to get started and just try something.
Yeah, it's great. It was a great idea.
Cool.
I think it was funny.
All right, then. Thanks everyone for listening. I'll also take a quick break and be back. I'll see you in the next episode of this podcast. Either again with Mario, maybe with a different guest. I feel like this could be a great idea to do more often because I think it's really enjoyable.
Thank you for listening. Good night or good day.